I'm going to explain the following statement. The price of butter depends on the number of old maids by looking at interspecific relationships. This is relationships where the organisms come from two different species. So this is a quote from Charles Darwin's The Origin of Species. And in the quote, he notes that the mice were destroying the combs and nests of the bees. And these bees are crucial to pollinate the flowers in the same area. So we need to take a look at the relationship between the cats and the mice and the bees and the plants, and then indirectly the cats and the plants. And in this case, we're looking at clover. So draw out the little flow chart, and in a minute, we'll add the names of the relationships between the different species. So now I want you to draw out the following grid and try and add the terms for each of the relationships in the box. So first of all, what's the name for a relationship where both organisms benefit? And that will go in the box where there are two positives, two pluses. Secondly, add the name of a relationship where one organism gains and the other is harmed. And try and see if you can relate it to the scenario that we're talking about. And then lastly, name the relationship where both organisms are harmed. Now, hopefully you've managed to fill in a grid that looks a bit like this. And now we're going to go back to our example and see where these relationships fit our scenario. Let's start with the relationship between the cats and the mice. Now, the cats eat the mice, so this is a really simple example of predation where the cat is benefiting, but the mice are obviously harmed. Now, the relationship between the plant, in this case clover, and the bee is an example of mutualism. This is because both are benefiting from the relationship. The bee gains nectar as a source of food, and the clover has its pollen transferred to another flower for cross-pollination. So now how are the cats and the plants indirectly related? Well, the cats are eating the mice, and the mice are eradicating the bees. And the bees are needed to pollinate the clover. Now, cows will eat the clover. So the more clover there is, the less it costs the farmer to produce milk. And of course, butter is made from milk. Now, old maids are known to keep cats, and therefore the price of butter depends on the number of old maids.